In the morning of March 29, 1943, aircraft equipped with torpedoes and anti-ship bombs launched simultaneously from the German airbase in Palau and the combined carrier forces of 1st and 3rd Schlachtgeschwader. Torpedo-Bombergruppen from SMS Graf Zeppelin, Europa, Seydlitz and Peter Strasser joined with the land-based wings to launch a raid against the main Japanese harbor at the Caroline Islands, where the enemy's southern force was hiding. The initial attack was repelled by intense AAA fire both from land and from the ships at anchor, doing only minor damage. However, we gained valuable information on the forces at anchor, confirming the presence of the battlecruiser Amagi as well as 3 older battleships. No enemy carriers were sighted in the region, leading us to conclude that the Japanese still believed in the supremacy of the battleship at sea. German marine divisions landed in Davao under cover of the Kaiserliche Marine, keeping the Japanese naval forces at bay in the Carolines. The Marines quickly secured the southern islands of the Philippines. On April 1st, floatplanes reported sightings of a large Japanese task force setting sail, counting over 50 ships in total. Order was given to the 3rd Schlachtgeschwader in Palau to immediately make steam and give chase. Radio messages about the Japanese at sea reached the Provisional Navy headquarters in Davao, and the 1st SG left port only hours later to try and cut off the northern retreat of the Japanese ships. However, the superior speed of the modern battleships of 3rd SG proved decisive. Scout planes located the enemy 300 miles north of their original position, and both SMS Graf Zeppelin and Peter Strasser turned into the wind to launch all available aircraft. Despite being outnumbered more than 2-1 in terms of light cruisers, our screening force steamed ahead, confident in the superiority of our guns and the experience of our sailors, battle-hardened from years of fighting the British in the Atlantic. Amagi's escorts were the first to lay smoke, and she turned at the sight of incoming German strike wings. Her captain knew full well that without air cover and the land-based flak, his ship would not be able to withstand the strikes. The destroyers launched their potent long-range torpedoes, and then turned to provide cover for the escape of the capital ships. That, however, put them in range of our light cruisers' 150mm guns, and withering fire soon found its mark, with SMS Augsburg landing multiple hits on Usugumo, which quickly sank. The old battleships Owari and Kaga, not able to match Amagi's speed, soon fell behind. The last ship in the line, Owari, took the brunt of the fire from the German big guns, which had found their mark with precision, while being harassed from the air and hit with at least 2 torpedo strikes. But it was Kaga that keeled over first, after a shell from SMS Moltke's main guns found its mark and blew up her forward magazine. The white smoke of the destroyers was quickly joined by the black smoke of burning ships. SMS Gneisenau finished off the crippled Owari, and the fleeing Japanese forces lost all cohesion, only to be met by the disciplined fire of the Kaiserliche Marine. In the end, almost the entire task force was wiped out. 2 battleships, the modern battlecruiser Amagi, 3 heavy cruisers, 10 light cruisers and 20 destroyers were burning, sinking, or already at the bottom of the sea. It was a black day for the Imperial Japanese Navy and solidified German control over the southern defense belt. All of Europe, as well as most of Africa at this point, is under the control of the Reichspakt. There is a small amount of Entente troops remaining, but they are boxed in, and mostly they are Australasian Confederation troops, which are not going to make their way home, as well as some Portuguese exiled troops after Portugal itself has already fallen. India is still a powerful part of the Third International, together with Mexico and some Central American places. But once India falls, then hopefully that group will go down as well. The Moscow Accord is hanging on the brink. The Russians have retreated to the Ural Mountains and are no longer capable of mounting any kind of effective military operations. However, they still refuse outright to surrender. And that means a general offensive, now that we are in April, is going to be called once more, with troops from both armies supplanting the armored divisions that have been fighting over the winter. And in the Pacific, the Japanese have lost a major naval battle. They have lost their southern defensive belt, and the Reichspakt is pushing ever northwards through the Philippines with a naval invasion of Manila planned and underway. And from there on out, The Formosa and the home islands are going to be next, and hopefully then forcing Japan into surrender, while the Chinese are still fighting a stalemate in Korea between North and South Korea. And in the Americas, the last holdout of the Entente with Canada is in a bit of a phony war with the USAS. So far, there's not much movement on the ground, but we will see how things develop. For now, I think Russia is really the next big target here. But we do have to start thinking about the future as well, because despite our efforts, the support at home is wavering. We're down to 65% of people who are in the latest polls actually in favor of continuation of the war. After several years, the German population is getting tired of endless conflicts, of the amount of losses that we've been taking. All in all, almost 450,000 German soldiers have either lost their lives or are in prison camps on the various front lines. And the occupation itself is not particularly favorable either. So a fair few things that need to be sorted out there. All right, Africa, I think Africa is going to fall soon. So that particular battle will end. But let's finish the Russian situation. And in India, we have managed to encircle a large number of enemy troops. However, from the intelligence that we have, the Indian commune has a vast number of reserves with over 2 million men under arms. So fighting there is going to continue. And General Paulus is going to need some reinforcements. But for now, we are going to complete the cleanup operations here. And we'll probably push south, actually, and see if we can join the troops. And we'll see if we can start using the momentum that we've gained and start making inroads into enemy territory here. We should be, we're still within the same air zone, so we should be having air support without too much trouble. We have 400 medium bombers in the air, which are going to hammer the Indian mountain positions. So the last holdouts here shouldn't be lasting for very much longer. And Indian counterattacks to break open the encirclement are not going to be effective in any way. We have Opel with new traits. What can we still actually get? I think we're done with the mechanized pretty much. Yeah, that was exclusive. So we're done with the mechanized tree, which means we can improve the reliability of our trucks. No, we'll do that. We'll do that at a later stage. It's not that urgent. And we do have some naval combat in the Mediterranean. That's mostly some exiled Spanish ships operating out of Mallorca. So there we are going to need to deal with that eventually. We should have the second Schlachtgeschwader consisting of the old French ships. I think at this point can be sent on Mediterranean duty to finish off the Spanish forces that are operating there. So let's do that, and we're going to reduce the coastal duties, and we are going to include all Mediterranean zones. And since we added the Black Sea as well, so that means the fleet can be stationed probably in Toulon. That's back to their home port in Toulon. And from there on operate a strike force in the area. And we are going to need some aerial scouting to find the Spaniards. So let's get that organized. Okay, bringing some naval patrol bombers down from Prussia. We can get one in each air zone that they can reach out of Marseille, and we're going to get all three of them on naval patrol, and that should assist with actually spotting the enemy shipping. So let's tick off the naval battles here These were just convoy engagements from Spanish shipping, and there are a few naval bombers actually operating out of Mallorca as well. So we may as well grab some heavy fighters and ensure that we have aerial superiority over the Western Mediterranean to hunt these down. That's that all sorted. We did lose some convoys to enemy submarines in the area here. I think our convoy escorts, convoy escorts should be covering this, so it should not be a huge problem. And okay, we'll focus on India for now, and then and the operations in the Philippines. The Marine Sturmdivision from Marine Commando Pacific, they should be, they're ready. So we have both battle groups actually stationed in Davao right now. I think we'll probably send the third back. We'll send the third back to Palau, and we're going to get the first on naval invasion support. Yes, and yeah, there we go. That's a good setting. So let's launch the naval invasion to the north, and off they go. Under the gunfire support of the big ships of the 3rd Schlachtgeschwader, transports will be moving north and be landing in Manila. So that's going to be the next operation there, after the failure to break through in Mindanao, simply due to the lack of supply in the area. Strait of Surigao not easy to navigate. Sweden would like to purchase some tanks. That's all good. Talking about tanks, we probably need to supply our colonies somewhat. German East Asia is short on aircraft, trains, and support equipment. I'm sure we can help. So let's get that underway. And trains, aircraft, and support equipment. We have a fair amount of trains, so let's send 100 trains. And we should have a lot of captured support equipment, so I'll send that and some aircraft over. And in the same vein, Middle Africa is probably short on equipment as well. So they need medium tanks, trains, and tactical bombers. So we'll be sending them equipment as well. We should have sufficient over there. In general, the German production is at this point massive, and so we've got Sturmpanzerkampfwagen 4. We can probably send about 600 units of these, and we still got some trains, so let's send 100 trains here as well. And tactical bombers, I think we've got some too. So while the German military production is significant, it is also actually too much at this point. So we have massive stockpiles of arms, and we will at some point have to reduce and get back to a more civilian outlook of the economy. As right now, the only enemies remaining in the Weltkrieg are the Entente. On the Entente, it's basically just Canada, and I'm not sure if the Australasian Confederation will count. Moscow Accord is about done, and obviously the Empire of Japan and the Commune are holdouts. But hopefully we can end this war sooner rather than later, and bring peace to the world, really, because these endless wars are causing trouble at home, and we need to find a way to bring the world back to a more peaceful stance. All right, we have seen it. There's another Japanese battle group operating, and we have seen the Japanese carrier, so we know where they are. They are north of Taipei. So once we have captured Manila, I think we'll go hunting for the Japanese carrier groups. But for now, the Marines are making their way over towards Manila, and there they are, under the watchful eyes of German forces. And in India, we are sending the heavy infantry in to finish off the entrenched Indian positions. They are furiously resisting in their mountain regions, but it is not going to help them in any way whatsoever. The mountaineers in the north can continue. We'll probably leave. We have some Burmese defenders here, so we can probably send all troops then in that case. So let's break through. Let's break through and divide the enemy defenders. The Burmese are assisting, but so far aren't making their way across the river lines. But it's only a matter of time before this is cleaned up. The Gold Coast has surrendered, and with that, the last African holdout, I think, of enemy troops. There are just a few. Portuguese troops that need to be wiped up here, but then that will be it. And I think that is going to be then the end of the African operations, except that Ethiopia and Somalia are still fighting. So we might actually assist Ethiopia in some way here. Let's see if we can. No, we will actually really have to. We would have to justify the conquest of Somalia. So let's get that underway, because Ethiopia by itself is clearly not capable, and then we can send the African troops there. Also, the Central American Confederation has capitulated. This was the Third International once again causing trouble, and the West Indies Union is now under control of the Central American states, which means the syndicalists are completing their ventures in the Americas, but so far are isolationist. So we are going to continue our operations on other fronts and attempting to clean up as much as we can in order to end this war sooner rather than later. Let's see, where is there this is all rivers, so it's less than ideal. I do have to clean up the front lines here, however, so let me do that quick. Okay, General Paulus is taking control of and we're going to just relegate a few troops here to holding a few of the expeditionary divisions that we don't need elsewhere. We're going to relegate those to holding the line in the north. There we go. And the rest of Paulus's troops, with the help of General Fuchs' 8th Army, is going to clean up the eastern mountain range, while the rest of Paulus's assault divisions that are stationed here are going to finish off the Indian troops stuck in the central mountain range here. That, and yes, we do have Model with his 3rd Army getting into position. They've landed in Dhaka, and they're now, or starting to land in Dhaka, and they're now moving into position along the lines with some Marine divisions, Sturmpanzerdivision, to launch the assaults across the river here. So that's all ongoing, and we do have to keep an eye on the Philippine invasion. The 1st, 3rd, 4th, and 5th Marine Sturmdivision are on their way towards Manila against significant Philippine opposition. But once we've landed there, I think we'll be able to expand that relatively rapidly and then send additional forces from Davao by sea, but simply bypassing the low supply regions in the central Philippines and the jungle areas. So we'll see how that invasion works. They do have air cover, and they do have, which means we can. We'll see if we need additional air cover here. But they will be landing. There we go. They are starting to land in Manila. Against the 32nd Philippine Division, and obviously reinforcements are flooding in from the surrounding areas. trying to assist. But I think with the gunfire support and the aerial support that we have, we should be able to break through the defenders in Manila relatively quickly. They are reinforcing, but I don't think they are standing a chance against the determined German attacks that we're having here. All right, while that's ongoing, let's see. Okay, we have isolated 6 Indian divisions in the mountains, and we are going to join the efforts of cleaning them out. We do need the additional divisions in the north to push the rest of the Indian troops into place. And I think we have sufficient mountaineer troops now to once again launch an attack. That's a lot of divisions, but they are relatively exhausted. So let's see if we can manage to assault them across the bridges. Yes, we can. And we're looking good here. And keeping an eye on ongoing naval battles. That's some convoys, Cape Verde, Mediterranean, Denmark Strait. Who are we fighting in the Denmark Strait? A cruiser group, a Canadian cruiser group, operating in the north here. Okay, that'll give us something to do relatively soon. So far, just some submarines here. Where did the second go? Yeah, they're in Toulon. They're on strike force, so they will come out once the Spanish forces have been spotted. So let's get back to Philippine counterattacks actually across the Surigao Strait against the 7th Marine, which are holding the territory there. Should not be a problem. And invasion of Manila. Yeah, the Philippines have managed to bring in reinforcements, but so far the hastily brought in troops don't really have any chance against the heavily armored Marine Sturmdivision as well, because they are bringing flame tanks with them. Another naval battle. Just a quick look. That's some submarine operations. Okay, we're just hunting convoys at this point, so nothing much there. Right, fighting in the Philippines. Manila, yeah, they have brought all possible troops from the surrounding areas into Manila, although it is not going to help them because the Marines are going to break through. I think if no matter what the Philippine defenders are going to be able to do there. Massive Indian counterattacks along the lines here, and a bit of an air battle going on as well. So they are definitely. We've only got one division here, where I think the rest of the rest of Modul's troops is still underway. So we'll probably send one of the Marine divisions in to try and reinforce, and we've also got some Burmese troops which should be able to hold that as well. We'll send them. We will send the 960th Marines in order to hold back this Indian counterattack, and we have wiped out, I think, most of the Indian troops there. So let's ensure that we are finishing off the last remaining divisions. Höppner unfortunately falls ill. That cannot be avoided, but that we finish off the last Indian divisions before we bring all the rest of the troops into the front lines. And that will be a massive loss on the Indian side. How is the battle for Manila going? Philippine defenders are now, they're bringing in their last reserves, but the Marines are maintaining their fire and definitely have technological and fire supremacy over the Philippine defenders here. And more Japanese groups. Yeah, we've got some submarines operating in the area now in the South China Sea, sinking enemy transports. But the Japanese carrier force operating off the coast so far unsuccessful in stopping these attacks. So that's successful. Philippine counterattack in the Surigao Strait being defeated. The naval landing in Manila still under still wiping out the last of the pushing back the last defenders here. We can always launch airstrikes in support if necessary, and we are hunting down enemy submarines. These ships from the escort groups. And I think we might need some more divisions here. Let's finish off these 2 Japanese divisions. The 960th Marines have jumped into the breach and are holding back the determined Indian attacks. And I think with that, we should have wiped out a relatively large number of Indian troops at this point. 45,000 have surrendered and another 80,000 have surrendered, so for a total of 120,000 troops that have surrendered. The northern mountain positions are being cleared out by the mountain troops, and we are moving heavy infantry to deal with the rest. Moving heavy infantry in to deal with the rest of the enemy divisions once the Indian positions in the center have been cleared. The Philippines have capitulated. Manila has fallen, and with that, the Marines have landed in Manila, and the Philippines have capitulated. Another great victory for the Reichspakt. They have seen the futility of their efforts, and with just some remnants rebelling in Palawan and holding out. So we'll clear that out as well, since we're here. Just not to leave any kind of trouble behind. So we'll just invade Palawan with the 4 Marine divisions that we have available. But the Philippines have fallen, are now under control of the German Empire, and we will be moving the naval force. That means we will be moving all available naval forces, north. And get ready for the island hopping move towards Formosa. So we are going to start planning a naval invasion of basically of Taipei. But I think we've got enough troops that we can launch 2 of them. So let's get the Marines to land. This is all mountainous terrain, so it's not ideal. Let's get the Marines to land in the south. So probably here, and we get the 2 Sturmpanzerdivision to land in to start here and then land in Taipei. There we go, and there we go. So we've got a new landing operations into the north, and we can also deal with the legation cities very soon against Japanese forces. Navally, that means we are going to move the 3rd to Manila, and we are where's the other one currently operating? Should be somewhere in the area. So we've got the 1st, which can move for now to northern Luzon, and is going to be on strike force duty again. Just to clear out, just to potentially engage the enemy in the East China Sea. So let's get both task forces situated. Do we have any major repairs to do? The 1st is in good working order, but the 3rd is in desperate needs of repair. So most of the ships are actually currently repairing. So we'll probably hold out until further notice, until we have managed to repair the core forces of the 3rd Schlachtgeschwader, because there are some ships that are mostly not so much on the heavies, but mostly on the scouting ships and on the escorts. So we'll concentrate on this area around the Philippines, but there are reports from Dresden and Lübeck about an enemy task force, and that could be the enemy carrier force that we've sighted near Taipei. So the 1st Schlachtgeschwader can actually go and yes, the 1st Schlachtgeschwader is moving to intercept. The carrier force is spotted by these were just submarines. Has been spotted in support of submarine operations passing through the South China Sea. So we'll see if the first is going to make its way through Philippine waters and see if they can manage to intercept. But I think the Japanese have made their way out, have broken out, and might have made their way out of the South China Sea. Although where they're going is everybody's guess. So I still think that the Northern Luzon Naval Base is potentially Manila. Let's send them to Manila actually, and operate out of there and see if the scout cruisers from the Aufklärungsgruppe can respot the enemy task force. There they are. We might need additional scout aircraft in the area. Yes, let's bring the naval patrol wings now that we've got Manila. Let's bring the naval patrol wings over and get them to assist in the South China Sea, as well as the torpedo bomber Gruppe can move to Manila Air Base and do some naval strikes in the South China Sea, while the carriers are waiting for reports of the exact enemy positions. All right. The Indian front, despite counterattacks along the lines, is holding. And we've got additional mountain division from Fuchs's group, and they can join here. And yeah, we're clearing out the northern Indian positions, and then we will fight our way through. Let's see if we can launch an assault here successfully. Yes, I think so. The Indians at this point are starving and are out of supply. So I think these groups here are going to fall relatively quickly. Going back to Africa, we now probably we have the African groups, the Afrika Expedition and the Fremdenlegion. They can move into Ethiopia at this point. Let's bring them to already to or maybe we just attack from the south and take Mogadishu. Yeah, let's position them near Mogadishu, and their task is just simply going to be to open a second front and overroll Somalia and finish them off. We've got some free military factories, and I honestly think I don't know there's anything that we still need at this point. Most of the things that are currently under, I might just put them onto trains, because we've just sent a few trains over, and it looks like our allies might be in need of support. Can we reduce the trade anywhere? It looks like tungsten might be a little overtraded. Yes. We have control over enough tungsten resources at this point that we no longer need, and the same goes for chromium. Yeah, and with aluminium we just get from our French occupied territories. But all in all, it is starting to look good. Now, back to the Russian front, where we are going to launch the general offensive to finish off everything. Let's see what the status of the planning is here. Okay, von Manstein's troops are all familiar with the plan, so we can let's have a quick look if there's anything interesting. No, it's just the guerrilla fighter, which is I'm not that keen on. We'll launch him, and we have got von Leeb in the north, and his troops are also mostly in position. So I think it's good enough that we can start that operation, and then we'll see what we do with the tank forces. There is unfortunately not an awful lot. We've taken Samara. So what we probably can do here is just close the gaps and destroy some Russian positions here. So let's move. Let's get the tank forces to move along the river line. Take Balakovo, and we'll see where else the Russians are still holding important enough territory. I think Astrakhan might be Might potentially be one of the, yeah, that's got 15 victory points. And then obviously the Russian capital, 15 victory points. But I think other than that, Arkhangelsk is like a minor center. Yeah, Astrakhan is actually one of the more major centers in the area. I think no more resistance here, so we can start moving. We can just simply start moving troops north along the lines here and just take Russian territory. They are no longer resisting on the Iranian front, and in India everyone's moving. So let's get the tanks rolling again and just push the Russians into a cauldron and complete encirclements, destroy enemy positions, while the infantry is moving ahead on all front lines. So the German troops in the north have opened up on all lines, and we have of course von Kluge's tanks in the north as well, who can assist with these breakthroughs and just in general help bringing things. Help the infantry pushing back the Russian troops on all lines here. So, and there are some T-34s, but there are very few of them. So they don't really pose any kind of threat to anybody. Just in case, we're still sending tanks there. So aggressive moves all along the front lines. And we have a naval engagement in the Cape Verde Plain. So again in the Atlantic. Yeah, these are just Americans operating. Okay, so they are starting to operate in the South Atlantic now as well, and it's gonna get interesting there. But we haven't seen any naval engagements elsewhere. There's the carrier group here, which seems to have made its escape, unfortunately. So with the 1st Flakgeschwader stationed in Manila, we'll wait for new sightings, potentially of enemy carriers, while bringing the troops in. Still further counterattacks on the Indian front here, and it looks like the Marines are still going to join. Massive damage dealt by the German Air Force against these Indian assaults, but still. The Indian troops are, despite their losses, vast and numerous, and as such, still not to be underestimated, because we still they still have the potential to counterattack. But now Modul's troops are landing. And Model as well doesn't really have anything. Model's troops are landing, and we are going to be able to hold these lines against the counterattacks without trouble, while at the same time wiping out enemy divisions that are encircled. We'll have to tally up all these Indian losses here, as there sure are a lot of them, and make sure that. We'll propagandize that properly. We are actually running short on artillery. I think that's an area where we can actually increase our production. So let's have a quick look. The 17 centimeter Mörser Lafette is, we are running a bit short on that. So let's increase the production to 30, and we can probably wind down the production slightly. Yeah, we're good on the Schwimmpanzers. We can take 10 factories of that, and that will increase our artillery output, and that means we actually do now need to trade for tungsten. So German East Asia, send me tungsten, please. There we go. And the last, how much is this? 12, 19, that's over 20. That's a full field army there. The last troops here, the last Indian troops, definitely putting up a fight, but we'll send some heavy infantry in to push them back. Yeah, I think the fighting in the mountains has caused quite significant losses. So now everybody's trying to send me artillery. I think it is not necessary to do that, but We'll finish this off. We'll finish this off without too much trouble. Plus, obviously, the all-out assault on the Russian front is causing losses as well. So we can manage the tank forces to continue expanding the territories, while in the south we have managed to encircle a few Russian divisions here that are now getting destroyed. So no big problem there. And then the front lines are at this point wide open. We can start exploiting these and simply bringing the armored infantry and the half trucks through. But yeah, costly in terms of artillery, the general offensives. That they are certainly. And Russia so far is at 95%. So taking territory off Russia here is making a difference, but in general, it's still going to take a little bit until the government really sees the error of their ways. Major unrest in occupied syndicalist territory. Our occupation of our syndicalist enemies continues. Oberstleutnant von de Gurechav. Oh, that's an anime reference. Tell me if you get that. I think it's an anime reference. It might be a very obscure one. Reports that major unrest instigated by remaining syndicalist cells has broken out in one of the districts in the occupied West. Thousands demand the withdrawal of the German occupation and protested persistent hunger and poverty that has set in during wartime and in occupation conditions. The commanders issued dozens of arrests, while the rest of the crowd were dispersed without casualties. Still, the news has not helped the image of our occupation. Understandably, this is not helping the occupation's unpopularity back home. Perhaps we should start searching for ways to withdraw. This is costing me 4% war support and some other problems. A lot of you have pointed out that in the comments that there are focuses to deal with this. Yes, I think it's these ones. This is where we are dealing with the occupied territories. Problem is, this is locked under the Second Weltkrieg. And I don't know which of the wars is the Second Weltkrieg at this point. We've got the Russian-German War, we've got the Russian-German War #2, we've got the Second Sino-Japanese War, and the American-German War. I don't know which one of these needs to end for this to trigger, but the Second Weltkrieg is still very much ongoing. And as such, I can't take any of the focuses to deal with the occupied territories. This might be a bug, by the way. This wouldn't be the first bug, but we will see. We'll see what happens, and I might have to go to the console to deal with these things eventually if it's necessary. All right, back to India, where we have encircled 30 enemy divisions. So we'll bring all forces in at this point to wipe out the encircled enemy troops. Argentina has declared war on Brazil. That's interesting because Argentina is, if we're looking at this, is actually part of the Buenos Aires-Lima axis, whereas Brazil is part of the Montevideo Treaty. So which consists mostly of Brazil. So let's see what we know about these. Brazil has somewhere between 60 and 150 divisions. Argentina definitely a bit smaller, but they should be evenly matched. So we might have to send some support. What can we send them? Some rifles. Rifles we have lots, I think. So we can definitely send them not artillery, because that's something we're also short on. But I'll send some of the foreign equipment that we've got laying around, and that they can use that and to help with their efforts. Okay, submarines have radioed in that after sinking some convoys, they are being attacked by a carrier group, and that seems to be the one that we've been tracking. So it looks like they've been moving back towards the home islands after their foray into the South China Sea, where they have been failed to be intercepted, which means we can move the first up to northern Luzon. And we're still waiting for the third to be coming out of repairs. Still a lot of repairs to do on the light forces, But let's focus on the India situation at this point. And I think there the last enemy troops are being squeezed into a cauldron, and hopefully finished off before too long, so we can start focus on aggressive operations westwards before India has time to regroup. At the same time, in Russia, we are making inroads here and cutting off a Russian cavalry division. Let's just push them back since we're here. And we've got more troops here, which can simply just push north. Slightly impatient. We're trying to aggressively advance in these areas, and we'll use tanks as well to push further forward, because we definitely don't want to spend another year in the very low supply Russian territory. However, at the same time, we do have to make sure that we are breaking out. Von Mackensen's troops, actually, where can they have supply? Petrozavodsk, I think, is the last place that has supply here. So let's concentrate them on the southern front then, and clear out the area there. We've got some von Mackensen's troops anyway in readiness, so they can break through. Ukrainian tanks are now fighting Russian cavalry. That is probably a sign of the times to come, and everybody else is moving as planned. So that can go ahead on its own. And the last stand of the Indian troops under Lakshmi Swaminathan, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Last stand of the Indian troops. They're still trying to break out, but they have been. Most of them have surrendered, and those who haven't have been eliminated. And with that, the Indians have lost another, what is this, over 200,000 troops in the theater. So Indian losses overall should be relatively significant at this point. Yeah, 1.4 million troops lost already. And what do we know? What does our intelligence tell us about the state? Yeah, definitely fewer troops under arms now. Do we have any operatives ready to run any kind of? We're still doing some. Doing some suppression of any kind of resistance. Although I think resistance in general, Finland mostly, and the northern parts of Spain and Portugal there. So who do we have? We've got Giscus, who's very experienced in this, who can be moved to Portugal to deal with that situation. We have Josef Jacobs, who is stationed. Where is he stationed? In Iceland, actually. What's the resistance level? Yeah, it's under control, but Finland is in need of that. Okay, so troops are starting to arrive. I think the Palawan invasion should be ready to engage. So not yet, actually. We still need 8 days. So let's see what the Indian front lines now look like. We've got Model moving into place. However, supply is starting to get overloaded, which means we may have to look at the railway lines here. Or is that simply... do we simply not have enough trains? We should have enough trains. Yeah, we have enough trains. But it looks like we're not getting enough out of the East Bengal naval base here. So, and the rest of the bases obviously is overloaded as well here. But we have as much supply as we possibly can. So the next target for Model is going to be to push towards Calcutta and secure the port. Then follow that up with the infantry, and we've got the rest. We've got Paulus's group as well, ready to engage. So we'll get him to follow up. I think his troops need a brief rest after the operation. So we're going to get all of his divisions in a rear position, except obviously for those that are for those that are on frontline duty in the north. And we've got Fuchs's 8th Army. Actually, he needs to be in the Asian theater as well, because he's completely engaged there at this point. With the end of the war in sight, actually, we probably need to finish pushing through the last army reforms that we need. Currently, Die Front at the home front has a 40% grip over the military, so let's increase that get that away. So we're doing the last domestic actions, negotiating with the Federate States, more motivation in the Reichspakt, and new threat assessment studies, mostly about the threat from the Americas, to finish drumming up support for army reforms before we start moving into more civilian projects. And talking about that, we still have Fuchs's 8th Army. I think they can clean out the northern positions here, but we are going to need some of the Marines to make the break there. So that's a massive Indian defense here. So let's begin by trying to once again take the northern positions here, cut off the Indian troops, and reduce the threat overall. So we'll send troops there. We are making movements in Asia, and we are further moving into Russian territory on all front lines, where again the tanks can lead the way. Let's engage the enemy T-34s in a panzer battle, and at this point they have no way of even penetrating the Panthers, whereas our 88mm guns have no problem doing that in reverse. We are getting sent artillery from our allies, so given the costly general offensive in Russia, that is not a terrible thing to have. And we have an opportunity here. Yeah, von Mackensen is dealing with the encirclement of some enemy troops, and then we will be assisting with wiping them out, as the rest of von Mackensen's troops is moving off the northern lines here, which is held by the Swedes, and then we'll march into Russia proper. Push back the Russian tanks, and we can support enemy action here near Kazan, just wherever we find an opportunity to further the assault. We can just bring some tanks along. The problem is obviously the complete lack of supply in the rear Russian positions, where any kind of further operations are increasingly difficult. We have cut off some Russian troops here, so let's make sure that these get eliminated, and then we can roll von Mackensen's motorized troops into the northern regions. But again, supply here is extremely dire, and the supply base in Vologda is completely overwhelmed. So is there anything we can do to upgrade that still? Let's see. And I am not sure why the motorization level isn't picking up. It should be automatic, but we'll upgrade whatever railways are available, and we'll finish off this encircled T-34 divisions. And there we go. That's that. Further the destruction of the Russian infrastructure, and lots of research finishing off. Like I said earlier, we can't actually declare Pax Germanica because Russia hasn't capitulated, but we'll keep ourselves busy otherwise. Let's complete the Front revolution of the military, and that's. Let's just go through these, and that'll keep things busy. Von Kluge's tanks are now starting to run low on fuel, so we'll move them only where necessary. But all kinds of Russian resistance in the north is pretty much out. So the only remaining front lines that even have any kind of any kind of Russian troops on them at this point are kind of the eastern front lines and some scattered troops along the north here, where we are still fighting, the Ukrainians are still fighting infantry duels with the Russians. But overall, there is no further resistance expected. So what we can do is we can move towards Izhevsk and Vokhtinsk, where the next supply hub is, and push towards Perm to hopefully convince the Russian leadership that it is completely futile at this point to resist any further. So we'll send the 8th Panzer forward, given the complete lack of resistance. We do have the fate of the Upper Volta to decide. This is something I probably forgot about, so let's get that done as well. Because we are once again in control here, and I think this is something we can just hand over to Middle Africa if that's an option. Yes, because at this point the war in Africa is pretty much over. So they can now deal with all the administrative problems, and we obviously do need to fill up the research slots. Let's go through well, we don't really need the construction slots. Let's get the advanced fire control done. And we can as well begin with experimental rockets, because the future is coming sooner rather than later. And that should be, there should be nothing else. What decisions available? Oh, these are new industrial projects that are actually coming out. So yeah, I think I'm gonna keep my, so there's some free civilian factories. I'm going to keep my my political power at this point. All right, back to the, what's it looking like? Back to the front lines, where we do need to send Fuchs's troops. I think I'm going to give them a line along the river here. And we will literally just, once we've cut off the Indian defenders here, wherever the best position to do that is, then we are going to launch an assault on the exhausted Indian troops. But first, before we do any of that, we really do need to finish off the Russian positions. We've taken Fort Alexandrovsky, and troops are moving further north against mild Russian oppositions. But overall, Astrakhan is might actually be the big one that is preventing any kind of further advances. So we might actually start sending some infantry south here to try and push through and see if we can make our way towards Astrakhan, while at the same time we've got tank divisions moving northwards to try and secure Izhevsk, and more research done. That was the dual purpose batteries, and we can just keep going with the improved version of that. Although that is for refits. Do we have? Okay, we actually have shell improvements that we can go for. So let's go with the super heavy armor piercing shell. That'll increase the attack of all available heavy ships, which is what we are going to need for the Japanese position. More decisions available. I don't see them. What decisions are available? Oh, these are just recruitment decisions. Okay, not caring. We do have more spottings in the Philippine Sea, but that is only these are smaller groups. So we'll see if but yeah, the first Schlachtgeschwader is sailing out, and these troops are underway. However, at this point, I really do want to finish off the Russian front line, because that has been going on since forever. We do have some troops encircled here that need to be finished off, and then we'll just move north along the front lines. How far is Russia from capitulation? There it is. War. Russian Republic, almost. They're almost ready. They're almost ready to capitulate. So I think the last Guderian's last tank drive here is going to do it, hopefully, and that should secure the northern flank of that push. So we've got the 8th Panzer moving, we've got the 6th Panzer moving, and at the same time we've got the infantry. Oh, we've got another Russian infantry division encircled here. Yeah, that'll be finished off in a minute. And assist please with any pushes south, where we need, where we will try to reach. Astrakhan and see if we can. That's the last significant Russian holdout in the south here. See if we can collapse that front line, while at the same time simply breaking through north. There are some enemy tank divisions. We're going to just bypass these at this point. And we've got another Panzer division here that we can send towards... we'll get that one to go around south and secure the southern line towards Istvek, where we are moving north. And hopefully that should be... that should do the trick. While rushing Guderian's panzers north towards the Russian capital, there should be hopefully the end of the Russians. The T-34s actually throw themselves into the fight here desperately against a Ukrainian assault, but yeah, we'll just bypass them with the tanks and just move through, trying to secure the supply lines here, and take the cities in the north, so this grind can end here. We have von Mackensen's troops actually ready at this point, so they can line up in the north, although they are once again very much out of supply here. So we're literally just giving them their marching orders going north. Homing torpedoes are complete, which means we have another naval slot free. That is still slightly ahead of time, but I think we're almost done here. So let's go through the improved medium batteries. Actually, that's something we need. That's going to give us better cruisers. And we have the Schichau-Werke with another option. Where can we actually still go? I think we can only go... okay, we can only go this way. So high-powered engines is going to be next, but we'll look at all of this once the situation has cleared, and we are finishing off Russia. Desperate Russian defenders, but even though Guderian's panzers are running low on fuel, they are moving north, and I think Russia has at this point decided to capitulate. There we go. The remaining Russian equipment has been seized, and the Russian Republic has announced its total surrender to the German Empire. German forces, along with a number of independent authoritarian Democrat supporters, have forced Dmitry Romanov and his government into exile, as a new government has been established to rule the Russian Republic in cooperation with the German Empire. Wilhelm III has remarked that this mutual agreement will bring a new age of prosperity and cooperation to the Russian Republic. Romanov responded by stating that even in exile he shall continue to fight for the Russian Republic and support all resistance efforts in the homeland. And Yekaterinburg has fallen, and with that, the Russian Republic is no more. So we shall now, is there any navy left? That none to talk about. So we are going to let's see who else is having. The Ukrainians obviously have some interest. To be honest, I don't see us necessarily just controlling everything, but we'll sort that. We'll let the politicians sort that out. For now, we'll just go to the peace conference, control as much territory as possible, and then we'll deal with the fallout afterwards. The Treaty of Moscow has been concluded, and with that we are okay. We'll deal with Middle Europa quickly. Construction, factory output, or a military factory? Factory output. Doesn't really matter that much at this stage, because the German Empire is now in control of Russia, which is not something we're going to continue doing. But we will now that the military situation on the ground has been resolved, we will leave it to the diplomats to sort out the remaining division of things. At least the troops can now start heading out from the inhospitable Russian wasteland and make their way back to the empire for probably demobilization, to be honest, because I think depending on how the war is going, Africa is under, if we're looking at this, the Reichspakt is in control of most of Africa. Somalia is still about to fall. India is not going to be needing that large amount of troops. So we'll probably send some divisions to India just to assist with the general war and bring that to a conclusion. The Marines are making their way north island-wise, and the Japan is going to fall next, and then it just leaves the Americas. So right now there's very little going on between the Entente and the USAS, but this looks like almost as if there's a naval invasion going on in the north here. But yeah, we will see also how the war between the Buenos Aires-Lima axis and the Montevideo Treaty is ending up. But we will try to bring this Weltkrieg to a conclusion. And it's the Japanese-German war that's still open. The Second Sino-Japanese War that'll conclude as well once the co-prosperity sphere is gone, and I think Canada is probably the last of the Entente really that matters. We shall see how they fare against the Americans, and then once the Third International hopefully is worn down as well, peace hopefully at some point will return to the world. And anyway, for now, that's it for today. Thanks everybody, and I shall see you next time. Bye bye.